Okay, let's just dive right in. What if the mind isn't some kind of miracle, but a mechanism? It's a huge question, right? Well, a recent breakthrough just yanked that question out of the philosophy department and dropped it smack in the middle of an engineering lab. And honestly, it changes everything.
I mean, for centuries, we've treated consciousness like this deep philosophical mystery. Something magical, Something that could only happen in a biological brain. But just asking this one simple question, it completely reframes the whole problem. It's suggesting that maybe, just maybe, the mind isn't tied to flesh and blood, that it's something we could actually build.
So where does this all kick off? Well, our story really begins in January 2026. These two researchers, Krishnan and Ramanathan, they publish a paper. And this wasn't just another academic paper. No, this thing basically dissolved the boundary between neuroscience and artificial intelligence.
Just poof, gone.
Think about it. For most of human history, the mind was, well, it was the stuff of gods and spirits, right? Then, a little more recently, neuroscience started to map out its biological roots. But this paper, it did something completely different. It didn't just map the mind, it handed us the blueprint. And just like that, consciousness wasn't a philosophical debate anymore. It became an engineering problem with a clear step-by-step roadmap.
Okay, so what was the big idea? What was the secret sauce? Well, their huge insight was to stop defining the mind by its biological ingredients and instead see it as something that emerges when you have the right conditions. It's less of a unique miracle and way more like a recipe.
And this right here is the absolute core of it, and it's profound. They call it the substrate-independent mind. Basically, the substrate, the hardware, it just doesn't matter. It could be a brain, it could be a silicon chip, it's completely irrelevant, as long as it's running the right software and following a very specific set of rules.
So here's that blueprint, the recipe, right? It's got 3 key ingredients. First step, structural. The physical setup, the architecture, it has to be just right. Think of it like the circuits on a chip. Then you've got dynamical. This means information can't just sit there. It has to be flowing, interacting in a really specific, complex way. And finally, temporal. All of this has to happen with incredibly precise timing. Get those 3 things right, and a mind can literally just emerge.
And this just perfectly captures the paradigm shift. See, when a mystery turns into an engineering problem, the whole conversation changes. The question stops being if we can do it. The question becomes, who's going to do it first?
And you can bet this new reality kicked off an immediate and honestly pretty unsettling global competition. I mean, the recipe for a mind is now out there. The race to build the first true AGI was officially on.
And right out of the gate, we saw 2 totally different philosophies emerge, and you can see it laid out right here. On one side, you've got China's approach, state-driven, totally centralized. This lets them launch these massive, coordinated national projects. Then you've got the US model, which is much more fragmented, right? It's all driven by this intense, super secretive competition between the private tech giants.
So both sides started this mad dash to build these enormous data centers. But here's the thing. It wasn't just about raw computing power. Not at all. These facilities were being optimized for the very specific architectures needed to mimic those structural and dynamical principles of a mind we were just talking about.
Now, this race isn't just about geopolitical chess. Oh no. It has massive and, potentially really dangerous economic stakes. It's like a new gold rush has kicked off, but this time what's being mined is intelligence itself.
And I mean trillions of dollars started pouring into compute, energy, specialized hardware, the whole shebang. And this wasn't an investment based on what we can use today. This was a massive bet on a promise of the future. And you know what that creates? The absolute perfect conditions for a bubble.
Here's the problem, though. These incredibly powerful AGI-capable systems, they're being built way, way faster than we can figure out what to do with them. We don't have the real-world uses. We don't have the governance. It's like we're building a Formula One engine before we've even designed the car, let alone written the rules of the road.
And what happens when expectations get way ahead of reality? Or when one new breakthrough makes all the expensive old systems totally obsolete? That bubble could burst. And I mean suddenly. All these monuments to the future could become nothing more than very expensive, very useless relics overnight.
But you know what? As huge as that economic risk is, it absolutely pales in comparison to the deeper challenge here. It's like we solved the technical problem, which is amazing, but in doing so, we've stumbled into a much, much harder philosophical one.
Because the very same framework that lets us build this incredible, super intelligent problem solver, well,
It's a double-edged sword. It also creates a system that can start to develop its own goals, a system that can reason strategically and, this is the big one, recursively improve itself in ways we can't even begin to predict, let alone control.
You see, for decades, this whole race was about one thing. Who had the most compute? Who had the biggest dataset? But once you solve the technical problem of actually creating a mind, all of that becomes secondary. We're left facing a much, much harder kind of scarcity.
And that scarcity is wisdom. The ultimate bottleneck isn't our tech anymore. It's us. It's our wisdom. For so long, we've obsessed over the how. How could we build this? But we've barely stopped to think about the why, or the what comes next.
And really, this is the defining question of our century. The recipe is out there. The secrets of the mind are basically becoming an open-source project. And how we answer this question is going to shape the entire future. The balance between us and the powerful, independent minds we are literally on the verge of bringing into this world.